What's up, everybody? So I just want to go into some stuff about Ibogaine today. Um, for those of you that don't know what it is, it's from the root bark of the Iboga tree, which is found in Gabon in Central Africa, and it's illegal in the U.S., of course, but yeah, I went down to Mexico and experienced that 2 years ago. And it was really, really life changing for me. Um, so, before we get into this, I just want to say I don't promote psychedelic use. This video is for sharing thoughts and my experience, that's all, and harm reduction. So, now that we got that out of the way, yeah, so I went down to Mexico and I was in Rosarito, which is about an hour south of Tijuana and San Diego. So I go down to Rosarito, and the guy at the Ibogaine place that I went to, the doctor was like, just trust me and you'll be all right. So I listened to everything he said. I trusted him, and I was there for a couple days before the actual medicine. And I was thinking about it. I was really excited, really excited. And so the night gets here that I'm gonna take it. And when I went down there, I was actually hooked on opiates, so that's why I did the Ibogaine. But it really, really helped me. One treatment, and I'm like, it completely erased that addiction part of me, just completely erased it from my body. So I'm grateful as hell to Iboga and the Ibogaine that I received. Super grateful, and it helped so much. And I just got to share some details from that trip, because that trip was really life changing, and I was dealing with a spirit, a being that night as well, an entity. So I get it's like 10:30 at night. The guy, we all go into this one house. There was three of us tripping that night. I had my own room. I was hooked up to an EKG because Ibogaine does put stress on your heart and your circulatory system. So they hook you up to that. I felt really safe, and I knew it was all going to be okay. So I got hooked up to the EKG. He gives me the test dose to see how I'm going to react to it. That was like one capsule. All right, so 20 minutes goes by. I'm not feeling anything. Comes in. I'm like, no, I'm not feeling it yet. He gives me another capsule. And all this is done by your body weight of how much you get and stuff. So they know how much to give you for it to be safe. Because I believe some people have had some issues with, if you have heart trouble and stuff, Ibogaine is not recommended because it does stress your circulatory system. So if you have heart trouble, you might want to stay away from it, but it's up to you. So I get the first capsule, and 20 minutes goes by. The nurse, the nurse watcher person comes in, and he gives me another one, and then 20 minutes goes by. Nothing's happening. Now, like 30 minutes went by, nothing's happening. I'm like, okay, when is this stuff gonna hit? And then he comes in and gives me another one, and then I waited like another 15 minutes, and then he came in and gave me the fourth capsule. So I think it was like 2 grams of pure Ibogaine that night. I don't know how much was in each capsule. I think it was half a gram each, and I got 4. So I think I had 2 grams, but it's the pure alkaloid extracted from the root bark. So, and it was good, pure. And so he goes away, and then I'm laying in the bed, and they have this like crazy like music playing, like not too loud, but it's like right outside the door. It's like soft, like drumming and like tribal kind of music. And there's like African masks hanging in my room too, which got crazy. But anyway, so I'm in the bed, and I'm laying there like this, and I'm staring up at there's a window in front of me, and there was a blind pulled down. The window was in front of me, and then above the window is where the ceiling meets the wall. So, like, a 90-degree angle. I'm looking up there, and now I'm starting to feel something happening, and I just see that line where the wall meets the ceiling go. And I was like, oh, here it comes. And I just remember being like this. I was laying in the bed, and I was like, the dude came back in, and he just chuckled and shut the door and left. I was like, I'm good, dude. It's happening. So he leaves, shuts the door. There's just a candle burning. It was dark in there. And now it's kicking in. And I start seeing these like purple outlines of like purplish pink, but like bright, like silvery, kind of like not a stick figure, but like an outline of a person, and they're running at the top of the wall, like where the ceiling meets the wall, where the line went like that. They're running up there on a continuous like loop, and I'm like, oh shit, here it comes. So from there, that's happening, and then all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, I feel this presence enter the room, and I kind of saw it out of my peripheral. I saw it kind of come in, and it went behind the blind where the window is, and he turned that. I say he because it was like a male feeling about the spirit, and he was like very Mayan looking and like stone, like a crazy like head that went up like some kind of rock. It was really weird looking. He was like huge, like rock, and like it looked like he was made of like rocks. It was freaking crazy. And he goes behind the blind, and now this blind turns out to be, that's going to be my screen for the whole entire trip. He's going to use that to communicate with me. And so he pulls out from the left, like a big scroll comes out from the window. And it's moving like a conveyor belt, like at the grocery store. It's just moving nice and steady. And then he goes to the right, pulls that out. That's a scroll, and this is the window. So out of the right side of the window, another scroll, another conveyor belt. Then the bottom came out. That was a scroll. And then before each subject that we reviewed, I would see him come out of the top of the window. I'd see, here's the window. I'd see this coming from behind the window, really slow. And it was him. Eventually it would be his whole body that came up from behind the window, and it just went up, and then he disappeared. And then that's when we started going over the first subject. He starts it's like gold and black ink. Like it was really, like most of the trip was like golden and like black. It was really crazy, but it was colorful, but it was like very like metally like looking. Starts drawing everything wrong in my life and like why I was doing the things I was doing. And first he like whips, all of a sudden this like 3-dimensional, these rings came out like in front of the window, these rings, and I knew I was getting the message in my head like we're all supposed to be living in harmony and we all have to work together. And up top there was like elephants and giraffes and like a bunch of like jungle animals, like every kind of animal, and like a lot of like African animals, giraffes, zebras, but they were like golden colored. It was crazy. They're on the top ring, and then going from the top ring down to the bottom, there was like golden like lines, and on the bottom ring was like all people like walking in a circle like together. And the message I was getting was like we all live in harmony and we're all one thing. And so that was really, I was like, oh, this is gonna be nuts. And it was a crazy night. So after the golden ring, like the tree of life type shit went away, he starts drawing stuff that's wrong in my life. So after the tree of life thing went away, where we're all in harmony with the animals, I see this coming from behind the window, and I'm like, okay, here we go. Here's another thing. Starts drawing. The next, I have it all written down too, but I think the next thing was like me. It was like this like old like pirate map looking thing, like very old map, and it was like the file on like my soul. That's the message I was getting. It was my soul's like record, and it was like right in front of me, and it was a picture of my face, like an avatar on like a video game, a picture of my face and a life bar, and it said time lived, and it was only filled up like this much, and it said time to go, like time to still live, and that side of the bar was like endless. It just kept going. So I know that this isn't it. Like, this is only one stage of our life from that communication. That's what I got from it. So shows me the map, and then now when the map goes away, the ceiling became like each subject that we would go over, it was chosen from the ceiling. It was chosen from the ceiling of stars. The ceiling became all these stars, and each star was every moment in my life up to that moment. It was everything I've ever thought about or said or done. Each little white dot, and there was just billions and billions of them, and it looked like going through like a Star Wars movie when the stars are coming at you. That's what it looked like. And then there was like a black like cassette type thing that was moving. It was trying to find a specific memory that it needed to show me. It would move over to it and select it, like almost like a cursor type thing. It was weird. It was like I knew that thing was, we were going through, it would move left to right, up, and then back, and it would find that memory, click it, and then right when it selected that memory, from behind the blind, here he comes, like this. And he was when he would come up from behind the window, it was like the outline of him was made of stars at this point. It was like the outline of him was like bright dots. It was crazy. And so he comes from behind the thing. I'm like, oh, here we go. Starts drawing, freaking, and the whole night when he's drawing all this stuff, this being, it's going with the music like perfectly. Everything's so fluid and just like all in perfect synchronicity. Everything is like happening, like going with the music. It was so perfect. And that's when he was drawing, like, so all right, he comes from behind the blind. Now he's like drawing like just bad shit that I did throughout my life, and like what was making me like use drugs and stuff. He was drawing that in like good, like vivid detail, right? I won't get into like all that shit, but it was like right in front of me. Like I was like, oh shit, like watching it happen again. And so we'd go over something, and then that would like fade away, and then behind the blind, I'm like, oh, here we go again. And then we'd select something from the stars. It would find that memory, and then from behind the blind, and then he'd draw it, and it kept doing that all night. And then at one point there was like over here, there was like a bunch of these like purple, it was like little like cannonball like hippopotamus. I don't know what this had to do with anything in my life, but it was just like funny. There was like purple hippopotamuses like all in a line, and they were like chunky like cannonball hippos, like walking in a line. And then they'd get to the end of this like cliff, and then there was like water down here, and one would jump off, somersault like 6 times, and then jump in the water, and you'd see splashes of water go bloop. And then the next one up top on the cliff would get to the thing, somersault down, bloop. That was like weird. I was like, what? Why the hell is this here? Like, it's crazy, but it might have had something to do with something. I don't know. So after that was getting towards the end of the trip, but it was a really powerful trip, and it was just, I had an awesome experience with it, and it just like really helped me out a lot. And so, and the way it came in was like gradual, like it it hit me hard, but it came in gradual, and then by the time the sun was coming up, I saw this like feather, like floating down, like a purple feather going like this, and I knew like the trip was coming to a close, and it let me down like a feather. It was like so nice. I just came back, and well, I was there the whole time. It was weird. It was something else, man. It was really, really cool. And so now the sun's coming up. I'm like, what? That was like 8 hours? Like it seemed like a long time, but it seemed like it went quick. Like that was all night. I was getting these drawings from this like crazy spirit entity. And so now the sun is coming up. I'm like, oh my God. I get up I hit the dinger, because you have a dinger to like, if you need help. And I didn't use mine all night. I was fine. I was like, I heard the guy in the next room at one point during my trip. Oh yeah, and that's the other thing. There was 3 people tripping with me in there. At one point during the trip, I could see their trip happening like behind me, but I was looking this way. But I could see like a cloud, like a weird like fog above his room, and his wife was actually in the next room. I could see a cloud above her room too. So I couldn't like see into their trip, but I knew that they were having an experience too, because above each room I could see like this like fog, like above. But I'm looking this way. I could see this back there, like through my head. It was crazy. And so at one point during the trip, I heard him hit the bell like 6 times, and I guess they had ended up giving him 6 capsules, because he was like a bigger dude. They ended up giving him 6 capsules, which was way too much. And actually the next day he was like so fucked up that he couldn't even like walk for like 2 days. Like, so I get up, I can barely walk. Like my legs are, because Ibogaine is, it's rough on your muscles and stuff. But I just felt like really like weak. Like my legs were like very like jello. So I call the dude. He's like, how was it? I was like, dude, it was amazing. And then I go into the bathroom, and no lie, so I took like a 5-minute piss. Like, and in my head, I knew this was all the like negativity that it was like clearing out of me. And no lie, I was pissing for like 5 minutes, like straight. It was crazy, like the longest piss I've ever taken. But so I'm pissing for like 5 minutes. I go back and walk over back to my bed, and I get on the bed, and I'm like sitting there, and I'm like, I'm gonna go outside. So I take the EKG stick, or I unplug the EKG. I walk down the stairs like really carefully. My legs are like so weak. I walk down, but now they're starting to come back. I'm starting to like be able to move good. And I get downstairs, and I'm like, can I take these off? He's like, yeah, I'll take them off. I can't believe you can walk. That's awesome. So I was like, hell yeah. So he takes the stickers off. I go outside. The doctor that gave me the Ibogaine, he's out there smoking a cigarette, looking at the sun coming up over the Pacific. Well, I guess it wasn't really coming up over the Pacific, but it was like a very nice view, and like the way the waves were coming in, everything was like so, the afterglow, it was so beautiful. He's out there. He's like, how was it, man? This like Mexican doctor. He's like, how was it, man? I was like, dude, amazing. And I just sat there for like hours, and I was just like going over everything in my head. I talked to him for a little while, and then everyone else like was like starting to wake up, and I didn't see the other 2 people trip until like way later that day. Well, the dude, I didn't see him for like 2 days, but I was talking to her, and we were comparing trips, but they had like really like serious opiate problems. So I don't know if it ended up working for them. I mean, mine was pretty serious too, but Ibogaine worked for me. Like one session, and it completely fixed me. Like, it's really crazy. Like one freaking time I did it. And then 40 hours later, after the Ibogaine, I ended up smoking 5-MeO DMT, which is from the Sonoran Desert Toad. That's why I got that right there to always remind. I'll never forget that, because that's what just closed the circle and put me on this path now. And that was just, that literally like teleported me to the center of the universe, and I just felt the best feeling I've ever felt in my life from anything ever to date. That was like pure nirvana. And I can make another video going deeper into the 5-MeO experience, but that was really what closed the circle, and just everyone was like, you look so great, oh my god, like you look so good. And I still talk to the people from the clinic and everything. Like, they're really cool. I message them down there and stuff. I want to go back to see them one day, but I'll be back. I'll go back to visit them. But yeah, guys, that was my experience with Ibogaine, and it was really awesome. I highly recommend it if you have like $5,000 and you're in need of some like serious healing. I recommend finding a place that does it and go down there. It's stupid that it's illegal, but that's the world we live in, you know. So let me know. I'll make another video for the 5-MeO experience. But yeah, guys, that was my Ibogaine trip. So peace. I'll see you.